All right, homies. So today's video, it's gonna be a solo one, no filmer. We're gonna talk about staying on the lead foot, or at least how I incorporate that idea into being more stable when I'm learning and just skating overall. I'm at this spot. I don't want to move the camera because this is good right now, but I'm at this spot you'll see in a bit. It's just a ledge, long. I think I can slide it. I'm not sure. I might need wax, and if that's the case, we'll make work with what we have. 50, I'm sure I can do some 50. So I'll be kind of explaining what I mean. How staying on that lead foot is incorporated when doing tricks like a nose slide, back tail, even if I'm just doing a tail stall, and 50-50s, both regular and switch, and how many of us tend to stay on what is our front foot in a nollie and regular stance when we skate switch and fakie, and how that can be kind of how that can be a disservice to you. So we'll go over all that, and hopefully you find some clarity in how you can be more stable on the board. Because I know a lot of times, especially when we begin skating or have been skating for a long time but have taken a good amount of break, we get back to our boards and we feel very unstable in balance, and so that kind of lingers on to being scared when it comes down to doing the tricks you're very comfortable with when you get back into skating. Now, for new skaters, that just looks like being scared to push on the board, doing right on 50s, or even just going off of a sidewalk. So hopefully at the end of this video you'll understand a bit more on how to just be more stable at a fundamental level, whether that's with 50s, nose slides, basic ledge tricks, or even just flat ground tricks. So we're gonna start off with an ollie to make things super simple. There's a lot of cars here, so hopefully I don't get copyrighted with that music passing by. I'm trying to block it. Damn. Alright. Anyways, I'm gonna switch the camera and we're gonna go with ollies. So much is going on. Actually, because the lighting is perfect over here. Alright. We're gonna adjust this. Someone, when they were passing by, kicked that towards the ledge. So all I did was move it, guys. Okay. I'm trying to just make sure you guys are gonna see. Yeah. Okay. Ollies. Okay, so I did both ollie and nollie just to pretty much show you how my head, basically my center weight, was over my left foot, which is my front foot in this case because it's the one closest to the direction I'm going. Now I'm gonna show you switch and fakie and how your weight should be best distributed when you're in those stances. All right, so right there you're gonna see that my weight is over the right leg, which is the lead foot when I'm going fakie or switch. Now what a lot of people tend to do is stay on that left foot because they're so comfortable in their regular stance or even nollie stance that they restrict themselves from staying over that lead foot and being a bit more stable. So it looks something like this. Pretend I'm going switch. Now, it's not to say that you can progress and learn fakie and switch tricks in that way, because you'll see a lot of pros skating in that way. My only, I guess, take on that would be that they are more likely to be restricted when it comes down to trying newer tricks. Not to say that they won't be able to land them or do them, but it's always going to keep them in a how do I say this, in a movement pattern that that doesn't make it any easier to kind of have variability in their skateboard. And so someone, I actually don't want to give any examples, but someone who's really good at switching up their stance and being very stable on their board would be someone like a Mark Suchu. Someone like a Shane O'Neill, someone like a P-Rod. They're very ambidextrous, and I feel like subconsciously that's what influenced this idea of staying over the lead foot. Because when I see them skating in any of the stance, it seems to be true in their cases. So pretty much how that applies to a ledge trick or pretty much an obstacle is, let me move this. You'll see me on a regular backside 50-50 stance. I think this is a bit too close, but we'll make it work. So basically, in that stance, it's better to be on the front side with your weight in the center instead of it being on the back, because if you're on the back, it's easier, not that it's easier, but it's less stable, and you can't really, how would I say, you can't really do you limit the variability of tricks you can do out of it, right? So it may be easy to back 180 off, but when it comes to front 180, it's gonna be real hard to wind it up if you know, you're on that back foot. Same thing with landing. You know, it's more likely that you're gonna stay on the back, like on a defensive stance in the back foot when you land, which is more likely to slip out or do something like that. And as I'm kind of reviewing this, I'm realizing how hard it is to give you guys the example without someone filming me and just navigating it that way. But for the most part, all I'm trying to say is that we want to be on our lead foot when we're skating. So now it gets a little tricky when we're doing things like let's see, even if I just do like a backside 50-50 and back 180 out. If I backside 50-50 and back 180 out, as soon as I'm spinning, that weight needs to transfer so that it goes to the right one, because that becomes the lead foot when I land. And so when this concept is applied to variations like big spins, front bigs, front side flips, it gets a bit tricky But if we want to simplify, it's just about staying over that lead foot. And that doesn't mean that the lead foot remains the same throughout the whole trick. It's pretty much the foot that you want to be on to stabilize yourself best, right? So for a back tail, if you're doing a back tail, let's see, the foot that needs to stabilize you is my right one. But if I go out to fakie, it stays the right one. If I go back to regular, that was iffy. It should be the left side. And actually, guys, I'm gonna have to end this video short because the battery's gonna die. I forgot to charge it before. But what I will end it with is that when it comes to being stable on the board, we have to really prioritize making sure we understand this with the fundamentals. And I say this as someone who was in a position where I started learning how to skate rails with having a feeble grind as pretty much my warm-up grind. Like, it was hard for me to do a back 50-50 before I could do it was hard for me to do a backside 50-50. So instead, what I warmed up with was backside feebles. And not that that's pretty bad, but it also gives you a different understanding of where you should stabilize yourself from when it comes down to doing nose grinds, nose slides. And so the way this built up as a disadvantage was because I was so used to staying on my right foot that when I was learning crooks, nose grinds, and nose slides, it was hard for me to stay locked in over my left foot, which could have easily been something that would be worked on at a fundamental level if I would have just understood staying over that lead foot. So having said that, I hope that you know, a lot of questions came up and you leave them as comments, and then I'm only going to clarify them, and I can even clarify them specific to a trick you're trying or something that you want to try. So having said that, thanks for watching. Shout out the sponsor. These, I think I was wearing them in the last video, but these Splay shoes, I have a 10% code if you want to use them. Also, feel free to ask any questions about these if you want me to include it in future videos, and we'll do that. But yeah, the code's in the description. Let me know what you guys want to see next, and peace out.